And good morning. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and this is my podcast on a Sunday morning. It is cold, it is rainy, and it is a miserable morning to wake up to, but I'm not going to complain only because California, where I'm at the moment, needs that rain. The state has had so much dryness, and so much heat and so many fires that this rain that we have had, even though it seems miserable, is really truly a blessing because it's filling up our lakes, it's filling up our reservoirs, it's creating snow up in the mountains, create more water. So I'm not going to complain because California truly needs it. It's a Sunday morning, and normally a lot of people are getting up and getting ready to go to church or having their coffee and sitting there watching the news, or they're just starting their day. And I love those kind of days, and I love going to church, and I love the spiritual blessings that you receive from going to church. I was thinking the other day, as I was talking to some clients, and we were talking about going from one job to another job, and this happened to be a client that had been in the restaurant industry for so long and now was going into the construction industry. And I was talking to him about, you know what, you're going to take some of that stuff that you learned in restaurant and you're going to apply it to construction. Especially when you're talking about the production process of food and the production process of building whatever he was building. I can't remember, but you would take that process. And I did the same thing. You know, I started my business back in 1984, and I took on clients that they had a project that they needed to work on, and no one wanted to work on it because no one knew how. And so I took them on. Now, let me back up just a little bit, because when I grew up in an era where my parents didn't have any money. So I went to a boarding school where I got a private education, but I had to work for it. And then every morning I would get up and go down to the furniture factory and begin building furniture. And we would put through the whole line of the process of building furniture, from the framing of the furniture to putting springs in the furniture to upholstering it in the furniture, dipping furniture into vats of paint to make this furniture. And we made all kinds. We made dresser drawers, we made desks, we made coffee tables, we made dining tables, we made upholstered furniture. But we knew the process. We knew the process of going step by step. And I remember in calling back on that memory, because I did it for 2 years. And that's how I paid for my education. And then when I went to college, I did the same thing, except not only did I do furniture factory, but the dean of men said, hey, I need desks restored. Can you do it? I said, sure. So we went downstairs, had a sander, and we began restoring the furniture of the door. And then I took on a job in the custodial department where I was a janitor. And then I got so good at doing that they gave me 3 buildings to supervise. Excuse me, in cleaning. And then as I got older, I took on projects that was totally different in energy. But every job that I've had, I've taken on a little bit of knowledge to go on to the next job. And then later on in life, I had a big manufacturing plant where we had manufacturing plants in China and in Hong Kong, in to Ireland, and all different places throughout the world. Taiwan, I mean. And I began traveling throughout the world, visiting these factories. And I knew the factory process in the line that you did. So everything that I've done in life, I've taken that experience and moved on to the next project that I worked on. And that truly is a blessing from God. Everything that I learned in college did not apply to what I was doing in real life. Yes, I learned the basics of accounting. Yes, I learned the basics of taxation. Just the basics, just enough to know. But what I learned was on the job, knowing the financing process of manufacturing and the accounting of manufacturing and the inventory management of manufacturing and the dollars, converting dollars into various currencies and back into U.S. dollar. Everything, they never taught me any of that in college. What I learned has been on the job. And everything that I've learned, I have applied to another job or tweaked it or thought about the process. If you can go into a job and you may not like, do you think I liked working in the factory? I hated working in the factory, but I knew that it would pay for my college education. And then I took the second approach and say, that whatever I learned here, I can take it and apply it to something else that I'm doing in life. Even to this day, I think about the line process of manufacturing furniture. The line process of manufacturing electronic equipment, the line process of construction, it goes on and on. What I've learned in the accounting, in the finance, and the consolidation of finances, and dealing with the risk management of these projects that I worked on. But you learn, and you take your experiences and you move them to the next job or the next project that you're working on. That's the best education that you can possibly have. You will never learn what you're learning on the job in school. You never will. Some of the best bookkeepers that I have hired have never gone to bookkeeping school or accounting school. They learned it on the job, and they knew exactly what was going to happen with every transaction that went through the system. You learn from your work. You learn from your job. So if you're going into a job and you hate your job, change your attitude and say, what am I learning from this job, and what can I learn from this job? Because there's a whole bunch of opportunities sitting in front of you to learn. Sometimes we go into work and we just do it as a routine. But we never think about, how is this helping me, and what can I learn from it, and where can I take it in my next job? It's amazing. It truly is amazing what you can do. How you can improve yourself through your self-education, through the job that you're currently working on. I love work, and I love going into work, and I love dealing with my clients, and I love taking on new experiences. And since I've been doing this since 1984 until now, I have had all kinds of different jobs and projects that I have been assigned. And not only that, but I have started different companies on my own. And I learned. And to this day, I know what I did wrong, and I also know what I did right. Take the opportunity that you have in any kind of job, love it or hate it, and say, what am I learning from this job that I can apply to the next job? Always go into a company and try to find out the whole bunch of information about that company. Know the process. Know how they, from the beginning to the end of the process of how they do their job. Because I'm telling you, the next job or the job after that, you will apply some of that knowledge and say, how can I apply that to what I'm doing right now? How can I improve what I'm doing right now? The best education that you're getting is right now on that job. I don't care if you're folding clothes at a laundromat. You have a process. You know how to deal with clients. You know how to do your job. I don't care if you're a nurse in a medical facility. You know the process of taking care of that patient. And you can apply it, whatever process that they're using, to some other form of medical job that you're doing. Know the process. Know how from the beginning to the end. And you will have the best education that you can possibly have. So on this Sunday morning, just remember that you're being blessed every single day with the possibility of learning. Learning through on the job, learning through reading, learning through watching videos, learning through everything that you can possibly get your hand on what you're doing right now. And coming up with ways not to improve the process itself, but also to improve you. Self-knowledge is probably the best knowledge that you can ever get. Yes, when you go to college, you'll get a nice degree. Yes, you'll get an education, but it's only the basics. Only the basics. But what you're learning right now in the job, learning right now in the profession that you're in, that's how you're learning. So think of it as a blessing. Don't think of your job as a curse. Think of it as a learning opportunity. And find a way to learn. So the days of this Sunday morning, go out and have a great day. I want you to sit down on this Sunday and just have a cup of coffee with a friend. Call up a friend. Talk about experiences. Talk about life. Talk about problems. Talk about beautiful things that have happened to you. But have that communication process. Have that process of sitting down, even if it's with your wife or husband. Do it. Because you will learn that there's a whole lot of value in just those few minutes of having a cup of coffee with a friend or with a loved one or with your significant other. Everything's a learning process. Everything's has the ability of you learning something today that you never knew that other person knew. It's a learning process. Life is a learning process. Take hold of that learning process and better your life every single day. I'm sorry, this message on Sunday morning is kind of mixed up, right? Talking about jobs and opportunities and learning and having a cup of coffee with your friends. Yeah, it's mixed up. But life is mixed up. Go out and have a great Sunday. This is Mike Lodge, the business advisor. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.